On to the US now, where the Supreme Court has effectively struck down reservations on the basis of race in university admissions in a ruling announced yesterday, and this upends decades-old US policies on affirmative action or positive discrimination to help blacks and other minorities obtain higher education. You see, since the 1960s, this policy has increased diversity on American campuses by helping blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans find a place in a range of campuses, from Harvard and Yale and Dartmouth of the Ivy League to others spread across the country. How and why did the American Supreme Court end a policy that helped generations to enter elite tiers of life, and indeed enabled America to preach to others on diversity and inclusivity? Let's take a closer look. Back in 2015, a non-profit organization called Students for Fair Admissions filed 2 lawsuits challenging the legality of the admission process at Harvard and University of North Carolina. Both these institutions attract tens of thousands of applications every year. Getting admission is a passport to success, many would say. Competition is fierce, but suddenly those in racial minorities for whom Harvard was once a dream also got an opportunity to show their talent. What were the best examples? Barack Obama and his wife Michelle. The group which filed the lawsuits is led by an opponent of affirmative action named Edward Blum. What was his argument? That affirmative action violates the Constitution and civil rights law, that it considers race and ethnicity instead of being purely merit-based, which affects the chances of deserving white candidates getting in. The group had an explicit agenda to end positive discrimination. Some of them had a personal grouse, for they had been denied a place which might have gone to them were it not for race-based discrimination. Lower courts ruled against the group in both suits. They upheld the admission procedures at the 2 universities. But the Supreme Court had the final word, and it says race-conscious admissions are at odds with the Constitution's promise of equal protection to all. And this has accentuated the political divide in America. Former US President Donald Trump, who has considerable support among white Americans, has said that it was a great day for America. Other Republicans also chimed in. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, wrote on Twitter, and I'm quoting, "College admissions should be based on merit and applicants should not be judged on their race or ethnicity." But Democrats who sweep the black vote are infuriated. Listen to what US President Joe Biden said as a part of the White House address. Listen to what US President there said.
I've always believed that the promise of America is big enough for everyone to succeed, and that every generation of Americans, we have benefited by opening the doors of opportunity just a little bit wider to include those who've been left behind. I believe our colleges are stronger when they are racially diverse. I also believe that while talent, creativity, and hard work are everywhere across this country, not equal opportunity. It is not everywhere across this country. We cannot let this decision be the last word. I want to emphasize, we cannot let this decision be the last word.
Former President Barack Obama has also criticized the ruling. He said, and I'm quoting, "Affirmative action allowed generations of students like Michelle and me to prove we belonged." And how is this ruling going to pan out for the rest of America? How will it affect the children of color who dream of getting into prestigious institutions? Admissions counselors will have to rethink how students can discuss their race in application essays. Things are going to become difficult for students of color, particularly those who do not have a privileged background, like children of migrants. Competitive colleges are dominated by white youngsters. Let me just back that up with some facts and figures. California, as a state, banned race as a factor for admissions to public universities back in 1996. Decades on, the effects can be seen in the college campuses. Take the example of University of California, Berkeley. In the fall 2022 freshman class, Just 228 out of nearly 7,000 students identified as black. You heard that right. Only 3.6% of the students were African American. Listen to what the students said.
I am in a major that doesn't necessarily hold that many students of color. Throughout my entirety of being at Berkeley, I've only met 2 other black students within all of my classes I've been in.
See, when you come to campus, you see black athletes on the walls and stuff like that, and it kind of almost creates this illusion of how diverse the campus is. But then when you get on the campus and you're one black student in a class of 80 people, it's okay, what's going on? Or where are more people that kind of look like me?
And now let's look at the statistics from Harvard, which has followed positive discrimination. 10.7% of the students in the class of 2022 identified as black. America may act as a flag bearer of diversity. Every other day, you will find a Western think tank publishing some report or the other, slamming the other countries for their inclusivity and gender gap. But you see, in reality, the roots of race discrimination run deep in the US itself. I am not the one saying that. You can see it in the headlines almost every day. The shootings of black people, the hate crimes. If the US plans to sideline minorities in a bid to promote its so-called equality, who is it trying to delude? Because this equality is selective. It may actually shut the doors of opportunities in the face of the less privileged children. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.